Okay. Hi, my name is Andres. My family pronounced Andres, and I have a few friends that call me Andrew or Drew for short. But this will be my video for the anatomy for this assignment of this week. We're gonna be going over a few things about the body. I could have used a partner for this, but I decided not to because I want to involve my sister because she can be a wreck, and I just don't want to go through that. So I figure I'll just go ahead and do this myself. And I was going to be using a doll um, and go dig around my sister's toy box or something. And I decided they were just too small. So I found a doll or an action figure, I guess you can call it a collection, in the corner of my room. And I figured why not use this? It's a bigger model. And I figured it'd be a good example to show where exactly and have a better close up. I don't have anyone to hold my phone, so I'll be flipping back and forth from front and back video to show you and to explain. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you which model I'm gonna be using to do this for this project. All right, so this is the back camera. So this is me. Hello. Don't know if I popped up, but here's the model I'll be using. It's pretty big. So I figured this would be a good example to be showing off like the interior and postures and all that good mess. I had this probably I don't know how many Christmas ago, and so it's a little bit dusty. I gotta clean this guy, but ugh. So this is what I'm gonna be using as an example. I mean, talking about the interior, the posterior, superior, the proximal, and etc. So I'll be using this as an example, and I can see the cape be a little bit of a problem, so I'll be lifting his cape in case I have to do a better demonstration. And so I'm going to be starting with this part as to get things started. All right, so to start this, we're going to be talking about the anterior and the posterior. I'm gonna be flipping my camera back and forth as much as I can. I don't have a way to keep my phone in a certain position, so I'll be holding it with my own hand and go from there. Um, so showing proof that I'm the one that's doing these and go along with this. I'm planning to buy my own little what's it called, a little stand if I could be able to make more recording in the future for personal use and for also to be able to do this project in case there's another video later on during this course. For now, I'm just gonna be trying to see if I can go back and forth. But again, I'm using the front camera. But if you can see here for Batman, um, or AKA Bruce Wayne, as we can see here, it'll be this part will be the interior, which is basically towards the front. So if I can better angle it. So this right here is all the front, right? The front side of our buddy here, Batman, and then we got the posterior, which we got the back. Um, yes, this will be the back side. And so this will be talking about like from the back of his skull and back. Um, so again, we got the anterior, and from the back right here we got the posterior, and the superior will be towards his head. So we're talking about like the nose, mouth, and chest. Also, we got the so more focus on the cranial, and then we got the inferior, which is towards the tail, which is I can this cape will be in a little bit of bother. Why does he be wearing black? But we got, but his tail back here. See if I can get a better lighting for this. Okay, so again, this will be his tail, and down. That will be his inferior, and then we got the proximal, which is closer to the point of the origin, general, the trunk. So again, also we got let me flip this back. Okay. So then we got so again with the proximal, it'll be basically focusing on the knee and shoulder and his elbow. Distal will be like more like farther away. So for our Batman here, we'll be like talking about his hip, his wrist, his elbow and his hip. Trying to see if I can find it. Um, Gosh, it's gonna be a lot harder than that. Okay, so again, his foot, wrist, his waist. Um, Now we towards I guess distal. Then we got medial, which is like his ears, which again, because Batman, usually his ears would be right here, but because of this pointy ear, we're gonna say this is his ear. And that'll be the medial. So it'll be like ear is to the shoulder, and then like his index finger, which is, well, he has a fist, but you can say like his index fingers is medial to his thumb, which is right there. So I can raise it up a little. Yeah, index finger, raise it up, but man, there you go. Index finger to his thumb. So we're gonna put that back down. Again, I do apologize in case there's any background sound, and over there, it's a big family, or more of a loud family. And it's superficial is is really closer to the surface. So like the skin is superficial to the muscle. The muscle is superficial to the bone. So again, we can't really see it, but if it's like under his armor, his skin right there. I couldn't find a better model for this other than, and then we got D, which is further below the surface, which is bone, whereas bone is deep to the skin and deep to the muscle, which is what we see here. So again, to go over this one more time, we got the medial, we got the little distal, prox. Sorry, we got distal, and then up here we got here is the proximal, going up. Midline, it's like going through our friend here, so like right it all through this middle, and then again going down is the distal, going up is the proximal. Okay, so then for this part we're gonna be talking about the three types of planes. We got the sagittal planes. We're also gonna be talking about the frontal plane and the transverse plane. For the sagittal plane, we're gonna be talking about the mid sagittal section of the brain. So we're talking about we can get Batman again. Batman. There we go. All right. So we're talking about the mid sagittal. So if I can get it back right, the middle, of course. Basically the middle of his brain, which I don't have a model of a brain, but we can imagine through Batman's armors and his thick skull and stuff out of this plastic. And then we got the the frontal plane, which is basically the back part of his brain. So back here. So, and then also we're talking about and this will be the frontal plane, by the way. Uh, for the last one, a transverse plane would be a layer going like this and going up. So like if I was using myself, it would be like like just like the top part of the brain. So for Batman, it would be like this part of the brain. That would be for the transverse plane. So again, that's the transfer plane. The frontal plane, basically like say the like the back side. So for again with Batman, it'd be like from back here. Um, and then again, we got the sagittal plane, which is like a side picture. So like if we were looking at Batman, we'll say this would be his sagittal plane if we were looking at his brain. So that would be for that part. Okay, so now for this last part, we're gonna be talking about the four quadrants and the nine regions of the abdominal cavities. And so for this part, it will be a lot more easier for me because this is where we're gonna be talking about the core of the stomach area, where his abs and stuff. So we're gonna be seeing Batman's abs. Again, all full of armor, but we're gonna be focusing all on this area and I'm going to be explaining it piece by piece. And so I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera back around to just have a better focus. That way I'm not misshifting the camera too much. So let me go ahead and flip the camera. For this one, we're gonna be talking about the quadrants, which are pretty basic and simple. I'm sure everyone can remember this. I don't see how this is like any harder than that. But we're gonna be talking about this four great amazing abs that I wish I could have from Batman. Is that this will be now keep in mind. Okay, before I go any further with this, just keep in mind direction of the camera could be a little shifted. If you look at it this way, because I work at a clinic and I took medical assistant classes, and so the way you want to remember is that as a heads up in the future for is to remember that you can't compare to yourself and someone else's body with your left and your right. You know, it's like whenever you're performing surgery, if someone tells you like, oh, it's on the left side, you don't want to accidentally, you don't want to go with your left, you want to go with their left. It's always their left and their right. Because if you go by your left, you're going to be giving the wrong side of the surgery, and it's going to be ending up on the wrong side, which is his right. And so when I'm explaining these quadrants and stuff, you got to remember whenever I say, I can be saying his left or his right, but here I'm going to show you. So for Batman, he has his two arms, right? This is his left. This will be his left. This is his right. So if I was going based off my direction, to me that would be his right, and the other side would have been his left. So basically the opposite. So when I'm explaining this, when I say his right quadrant, and it looks like I'm pointing on his left, it's not really his left. I'm pointing on the side that he's himself. Like, so I'm gonna try to see if I can do this. So I'm hoping I'm explaining it well enough for you can understand that. When I say right and it looks like I'm pointing left, remember it's his right, not my left. Just keep in mind that. So now that we got that out of the way, because I feel like people will get confused with that. I really gotta clean this guy. So we're gonna be talking about his right. Remember, this is his right side. For us, it will be it'll be left, but we're gonna be doing it from his perspective. So if it's in plus we have to think about it. If we're working on a patient, we will have to get used to this kind of strategy. So again, this up here will be the right upper quadrant. So we're gonna be talking about like right here. Then right here will be his over here will be his left upper quadrant. Pretty simple. Now here's the part. This will be his right lower quadrant, and this will be his his left lower quadrant. So we got two uppers, two lowers, his right, his left, his right, and his left. Pretty simple. I'm sure a lot of people can get the quadrants down pat. So again, right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, and left lower quadrant. So again, we got four right there. So now we're gonna be talking about the 9 abdominal regions. And so thanks to Batman's armor, we can probably easily pinpoint the locations based by these massively armored abs. So for this part, this is gonna be like the right hypochondriac region. I apologize if I don't pronounce it right. Right here in the middle, between these two, we're talking about the epigastric region, and this will be his left hypochondriac region, right over here. Okay, so now we're gonna go right here in the middle of his abs. So over here will be the right lumbar region, and over here will be his left lumbar region. Right in the middle is where we're talking about the umbilical region. And then right here in the bottom, here will be the right the right iliac. I'm trying to couldn't pronounce that right. The right iliac region, and this will be his left iliac region, and then right in the middle will be the hypogastric region. And so we're talking about, so these are all 9 regions. So we got the right and the left on each side. So this will be his right and his left hypochondriac, his right and his left lumbar, and his right and his left iliac. But here in the middle is where it changes up. So up here will be his epigastric region. Right in the middle will be the umbilical region, and then the bottom one will be the hypergastric region. And so this is this would be so this is all about the 4 quadrants and the 9 abdominal region. Sorry, abdominic pelvic regions. Okay, so hopefully the project I hope this video project went okay. I apologize from the flipping sideways of the camera. I really should have gotten a partner for this, but my sister isn't reliable for that. And I apologize if there was any background sound of people talking. My family can be a little loud. Hispanics are just loud in general. So hopefully we got the basic stuff with the quadrants and the regions and the layering with our buddy right here, Batman. So hopefully I want to do more. Like I like doing this kind of project. Is if it's like I like it. It's really really good. So hopefully I'll be able to get what's it called, a little phone stand or something like that to help me make a better recording and have a better setup. And yeah, so hopefully things this you guys get you have like a good understanding of it. And I apologize for the model. It's the biggest model I can find, and I apologize for I can't help Batman wears all black. But hopefully I feel like the quadrants were a lot easier to identify because they were basically broken parts of his abs, which it's not very normal for a human being to have something like that. But again, it's just armor of Batman. And hopefully we understood the front and the back side of him and the side, and yeah. So hopefully this is what it is. And hopefully for the next video project that we need to do, I have a better equipment for it. But again, thank you, and have a good day or a good night depending on the day you watch this video.